So what is the end goal here? Are we flattening the curve? Are we preventing our hospitals from being overrun, or the assumption that they maybe would have been overrun in April? Or is immortality the new normal? With the continued fear-porn narratives coming from our government and appointed officials, backed incessantly by the mainstream media, we eagerly await to hear cases, cases, cases. That is, now that the goalposts have been shifted from flatten the curve to hospitals will be overrun to, as per Theresa Tam on August 8th, establishing a careful balance to keep the infection rates low. It's as though testing asymptomatic people who turn out to have positive results lead to this automatic assumption that our hospitals will be overrun and deaths are imminent. Yet, we have Ontario's Associate Chief Medical Officer of Health, Barbara Yaffe, clearly stating that a positive result is actually a false positive almost half of the time. So if the false positives account for nearly half of all cases, surely this recent study released by Public Health Ontario could provide some more concrete answers. Except, as CBC reports, the study suggests that the number of people who have been infected by COVID-19 in the province has been a tiny fraction of its total population. The number of people tested versus the number of those found to have antibodies were minuscule in comparison. Have a look at June alone. As you can see, the most vulnerable population, which is 60 plus, 22 males out of 1,054 had positive results compared to 12 out of 984 women. That's 2% and 1.2% respectively, with an overall average of 1.6% with a positive result. But the actual study clearly states, quote, "It should be noted that false positive COVID-19 serology results are possible due to a cross-reaction with pre-existing antibodies against other human coronaviruses. Although we assumed that our testing was 100% specific, as per the results of our laboratory validation, specificity may be lower. A negative test result does not rule out current or previous COVID-19 infection because it takes at least 7 to 14 days to produce a measurable antibody, and some individuals don't produce a sufficient antibody response at all. Furthermore, specimens from individuals who are immunocompromised or are too young to produce an adaptive immune response may also produce false negative results." See how they use those words suggested, assumed, and possible? Is Public Health Ontario putting out junk science? Or what's even happening here? Not only does it appear that this study is completely unreliable, it stands to reason that if this virus is so contagious and deadly, surely the number of deaths would speak for themselves? Except that they don't. Toronto Public Health tweets, "Individuals who died with COVID-19, but not as a result of COVID-19, are included in the case counts for COVID-19 deaths in Toronto." Is Ontario's Wuhan flu hotspot really falsifying data, while the initial projections and modeling shown in real time are hugely inflated and inaccurate? To top it all off, if we tune out the fear-porn narrative and we circle back to discernment and critical thought, we can see clearly that the curve peaked months ago. So if the curve is flat and hospitals are empty, what are we doing? If Toronto Public Health needs to skew stats, while Public Health Ontario puts out junky, flip-floppy science, are we even in a real pandemic? Do real pandemics require inflated inaccuracies, marketing strategies, and misleading verbiage? Imagine, if you will, a virus so deadly that you need to be tested to even know that you have it. And those tests can be inaccurate up to half of the time? So what is the end goal here? Are we flattening the curve? Are we preventing our hospitals from being overrun, or the assumption that they maybe would have been overrun in April? Or is immortality the new normal? For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini, a rebel with a cause. If you want to ensure Canada stays as the true north, strong and free country that we all know and love, by allowing us to share the other side of the story with discernment and dissenting voice, then please consider purchasing one of our witty Make Canada Great Again hats or COVID 1984 stickers at rebelnewsstore.com. That's rebelnewsstore.com.